You found the WMIX Saturday Sports Show on AM 940 and WMIXSports.com. Cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. The Saturday Sports Show has been recognized by the Illinois Broadcasters Association as one of the top radio programs in the state. That means the very best mix of local sports content is right here. From the powerhouse on Broadway, the Saturday Sports Show starts now.
Welcome to the final edition of the Saturday Sports Show for the month of July, as we will flip the calendar to next week, and it'll be August. Andy Zerwinski here, the host. Jeff Crow pushing the buttons. Avery Barton as well around the studio. Chris Hugo away on assignment as we sit here on Broadway in downtown Mount Vernon. We look out on what is a cloudy day, starting to be sunny, and some weather, of course. Had some showers earlier this morning, maybe some rain later this afternoon here in the King City in southern Illinois. It is another day of the Saturday Sports Show as we wind down summer, and summer is quickly starting to dwindle away for the teachers and school kids who will be back in session here in a mere few weeks. And, of course, with school getting ready to start, the high school sports season also just around the corner. We look at some of the dates, and August 11th, the first day of football practice, August 13th, the first day of cross-country, boys and girls, golf, boys and girls, boys soccer, girls tennis, and, of course, volleyball all begin practice those couple of days with first matches, meets, and games. The final week in August, except for golf, which can start August 18th. Folks, it's around the corner. We've seen in the local fish wraps, and, of course, we're on the news. Tryouts for junior high baseball, softball, and cross country going on as well. Games will begin, shockingly enough, if not this week, for sure next week. So it's that time of year as we start shifting gears and grinding down and grinding up, actually, grinding down summer, grinding up to the fall sports season. Of course, you can catch every game of Mount Vernon Rams football on AM 940, or if you want to watch it live, you can go to WMIXSports.com and watch it live as well. Every game of Mount Vernon Rams football, as usual, here in 2014. With it being the last week of July, last weekend, hard to believe that summer is cruising down the road. We kind of shift gears today on the Saturday Sports Show. We go a different way as we start to as I said, go into the high school sports season. And even at this late moment, our guest list begins with the hiring of a basketball coach. Of course, Russ Gerlach left Wayne City High School after 7 very good years and headed to Edwards County to take over the boys program there as that school begins to leave the LIC and heads to the Black Diamond in a couple of years. Joining us first this morning will be Cody Hiller. He is the AD at Summersville Grade School and also will be the boys basketball coach at Wayne City High School. He will join us in the first part of the show as he will tell us about his hiring and his expectations and all things Wayne City boys basketball after being hired at this late moment of the summer. Carrie Hammond, Director of Sports Medicine at the Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois and the athletic trainer for Mount Vernon High School. You'll see Carrie at all kinds of Mount Vernon sporting events all throughout the fall, winter, and spring. Does a very good job of getting athletes prepared for practices and games, getting them back off the injury shelf. And, of course, if you're in an outside event of Mount Vernon Rams and Lady Rams athletics, you will see her going around, and we saw a lot of her this past spring with the weather. She's the one that kind of keeps everything in line with the lightning and the weather and the whatnot, when to get kids on and off the field. And we're going to talk about her job, her role. We're going to ask her about getting athletes ready for this upcoming fall. Now, we know it's not been as hot as usual, but getting out in the heat and participating and playing sports, even coaches getting ready, being out in the heat on their feet all the time, haven't done that all summer or whatever. You're trying to get yourself back into the groove, and Carrie Hammond's going to talk about fitness and weather-related. And I'm interested to ask the question, of course, as we all do, when we're outside at a sporting event, how close can lightning be? Of course, if you hear thunder, you're supposed to take cover. How long do you have to wait? All that stuff, what the rules are regarding that, because sometimes, not as much anymore, but sometimes those rules are fudged a little bit because people want to get things done. But we're going to have Carrie on to talk about all things sports, fitness, and weather-related for sporting events, as a lot of people will be heading outside to sporting events this fall with all the sports going on. Nashville High School hired a new athletic director in the past week. Of course, Neil Hammond, longtime AD at Nashville High School, left to take a same position at Breeze Central High School for the Cougars. So a name that we're familiar with here on the Saturday Sports Show has taken over that role. Wayne Hari, who is also the girls basketball coach at Nashville High School, will now be the athletic director at Nashville High School. We'll have him on to discuss his new role as he takes a more active role in Nashville High School, more an active role and an approach as far as not worrying just about the girls basketball program. He's going to be in charge of all the sports and all the coaches and all the teams at Nashville High School. Have him on talk about that. Probably get into his summer with his girls basketball team as well, as the Hornets, of course, expected to be very good again in 2014-2015. Moving on from there, we head down the list of media people. And, you know, you get to this time of year, everybody's kind of in vacation mode in the media. You're kind of relaxed, as I am, but you always have the eye looking forward to the upcoming sports season. This guy, and of course, you read him on Twitter. You can read him at the Belleville News Democrat website as well. David Wilhelm does a great job of covering sports for the Belleville News Democrat. And one thing I noticed this week on Twitter is that he had the opportunity, he covers the Cardinals on a regular basis as well as high school sports for the Belleville News Democrat, does a very good job. He had the opportunity to cover a local kid comes home and does well, Jake Odorizzi from, and there's about 18 different pronunciations of that name, by the way. So kind of like Jake from State Farm, I'm going to open up with Jake from Highland, give us the pronunciation of Jake Odorizzi, who pitches for the Tampa Bay Rays, and he had an opportunity to throw against the Cardinals in Tampa earlier in the season. Tuesday night, he had the opportunity to come in and pitch at Busch Stadium, and 6 years removed from high school, he had the opportunity to come in, pitch, and got a win against the Cardinals on Tuesday night. And David Wilhelm covered that on Tuesday, had the stuff before, during, and after, had lots of really good things to write about Jake Odorizzi. And I know some Mount Vernon Rams baseball fans will remember him. They saw him and seen him throw back when he was in high school coming up, and now he's a member of the Tampa Bay Rays. And David Wilhelm from the BND is going to join us, talk about that experience. And we'll also delve into the upcoming high school sports season with him, about some of the teams that he expects to be good in football, as well as some other things in the Metro East. After that, we'll turn around and we talk about coverage in the area in Southern Illinois, and one of those newspapers that we really get a lot of information out of, and a lot of stuff as a football preview and a guide. Of course, we have local newspapers around here who do a very good job with their previews as well. We use them. The Southern Illinois sports editor Les Winkler will join us, and Les does a very good job of getting coverage in Southern Illinois for the schools, in the three conferences we particularly watch in deep regard, in the South 7, the River to River, and the Black Diamond. And they'll have a great coverage banner and newspaper coming out the week of high school football, probably the first day of the first games of the season, last Friday in August. He's going to join us. He's going to talk about the upcoming season, high school sports, what he expects. We'll talk a little IHSA. Of course, last weekend we discussed commissioner for a day for the IHSA, and we didn't get everybody on. So we wanted to get some other people on. Of course, David Wilhelm, we'll talk to him about things like that. Les Winkler, we're going to throw out some IHSA things to him, see what he would do as commissioner of the IHSAs. We kind of not continue that kind of show, but we do ask our media friends, hey, what could we do? What would you do? What would you do differently? Joining us next is Chris Kays, and you probably know him if you've been to a lot of sporting events in Southern Illinois. You'll see a guy wearing a bucket hat running around with big cameras and strobe lights and whatnot taking pictures. He's going to join us, and today the SIGA has a very prestigious and long-running tournament that will happen at the Benton Country Club. The Gold Cup will happen at Benton today and tomorrow, one of the more prestigious, if not most prestigious, tournament on the SIGA Tour during the summer. And that tournament, 2-day tournament, begins this morning. 9-hole course. They'll play all day. One of the last tee times today is like 3:15. So tee times are already going for the morning groups through the afternoon. And Chris Kays will join us. Benton resident, played in the Gold Cup, will be playing this weekend. We're going to talk a little history about the Gold Cup and how it sets, with that tournament, the history. They've actually had a Masters champion play in that tournament that didn't win it. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the Pro-Am. The Pro-Am was yesterday, some of the names that came in to play, some of the alleged names. I can't say yet who was and who wasn't there, but some of the ledge names that people will know when he throws them out. Played in the Pro-Am yesterday with a lot of connections to some pretty big-name golf courses and golf careers around Southern Illinois. So Chris Case will join us, talk about that. We'll talk IHSA. He also is a volleyball clinician official, meaning that he's in charge of getting officials ready for volleyball. He runs an organization out of Benton. So we're going to talk to him about all of that as well. And finally, a guy who we have not had on in quite a while. And we're going to get him on because we had the opportunity, Chris Hugo and I, when we followed Weber Township to Peoria for the state baseball tournament, we had an opportunity to sit down and have dinner with our final guest, Darren Kennard, the new sports director at Channel 3. And we had a lot of good times up there at Peoria talking about, what was going on at Peoria, baseball, softball, high school sports. And, of course, so everybody knows on Friday nights, the main idea on Friday nights is go watch your game, high school football, or do your game like we do here at WMIX. And a lot of times what we do while we're racing home is, if you can't get home, set the DVR for Sports Extra. And we're going to kind of talk to him about that, how that setup works. Getting ready, getting all the highlights, getting back to Carterville, getting them spliced in, and getting them ready to go for Sports Extra on Friday night, which everybody sees highlights of everybody and how everything goes. And I think one of the things that's cool about Sports Extra is, for me, when you start in August, you see daylight. You see the sun's up. It's bright. A lot of your football fields, and I know turf fields are green, but most of your grass fields are obviously nice, rich, and green. And as the season goes on Sports Extra, you see the sun angles change. It gets darker quicker. About week 7 or 8, if there's frost, those fields go dormant, the Bermuda and Zoysia, and you see a different vibe and look from week 1 to week whatever in the playoffs. So Darren Kennard will join us. We're going to talk about Sports Extra, how that operates, how that all goes on and whatnot, and, what things goes into. Of course, we'll let him be commissioner of the day for the IHSA because we did not have him on last week. So a loaded guest list. Lots of things to discuss. Some newbies on the guest list that we're going to get to know, and some old favorites back on as well. So we're excited here to be discussing with these 7 guests their different entities in sports. And of course, next week, the first weekend in August here on the Saturday Sports Show, we'll begin our high school football previews as we get ready to go. I mean, it is 5 weeks from the day we'll be talking scores. And the first games of high school football, 15 weeks, high school girls basketball starts. 16 weeks, high school boys basketball starts. 16 weeks, Thanksgiving is over, if you want to think of it that way. And 5 months from yesterday, Christmas Day. So if you're an early shopper, you got to get on the ball because Christmas is only 5 months away. It's less than 5 months away. School starts in 3 weeks. Here in Jefferson County and around Southern Illinois, that week of August 11th through 15th, you're going to see a lot of kids go back to school. There you go. We would be remiss if we didn't mention on social media. You can follow us on Twitter at WMIX Sports. We're going to be talking, tweeting different things on here all morning long. And, of course, already posted is our social media question of the week. And being that it's summer and a lot of people are kind of favored to summer. Some like fall with all the colors and the leaves. Some like winter because basketball or snow. Some like spring where you come out and it's warm and everything starts to green up. Go to Facebook.com/WMIX Sports. If you kind of can't get the hint of what the question might be, go to Facebook.com/WMIX Sports and give us a like. And then you can answer our question as well as we have that posted now, but we can't say it yet on air because we want to always surprise our guests who might be listening that don't tell you. We don't want them to know the answer. So we have all that going on. Follow us on Twitter. You can like us on Facebook. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have the newly hired head basketball coach of the Wayne City boys basketball team, Cody Hiller, here on the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
A digestive problem can affect every area of your life. But now there's a specialist right here in town who focuses on digestive health. Mayo Clinic trained Dr. Tegpaul Atwal has opened the only gastroenterology clinic in Mount Vernon. Dr. Atwal treats acid reflux, gallbladder problems, inflammatory bowel disease, ulcers, and more. For your appointment with Dr. Atwal at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 618-241-9071.
Learn to live healthy, learn to live well, and learn how you can live free from unexpected medical expense with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance and the Page Agency. Health insurance that covers hospital, medical, and surgical expenses offers a wide choice of deductibles and a non-tobacco user discount too. Rising medical costs don't have to be a problem with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance. This is coverage we hope you'll never need, but you just can't be without. Call the Page Agency at 242-7000 about a major medical health insurance plan today.
Did your bank recently make changes or add fees to your checking account? Free yourself with a free checking account from People's National Bank. You'll receive a Visa check card, online banking, bill pay, mobile banking, and access to over 20,000 ATMs with the added convenience of MoneyPass ATM network. Stop by People's National Bank, located at 413 South 34th Street in Mount Vernon today for details on how to get your free checking account.
People's National Bank, serving Southern Illinois since 1909. Member FDIC. Non-usage and wireless carrier fees may apply.
There's no other Toyota dealership like it in the region. It's totally techno, chic, and totally
you.
Tyler Toyota. It's like car heaven.
It's totally brand new.
Totally built for you.
Welcome to Tyler Toyota, the best car and truck buying experience in Southern Illinois.
Total.
Totally.
We're celebrating the grand opening. Newly renovated and highly celebrated Tyler Toyota. Totally
Tyler. Toyota.
Basketball season never too far away as we get ready for the upcoming boys basketball season. One final hiring that we're going to be into this year, and Wayne City, of course, hired a new basketball coach in recent weeks, and that is Cody Hiller. He's the new basketball coach at Wayne City and joins us now. Cody, good morning, and how are you on this Saturday in July? Uh-oh. Cody, how are you this morning? Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can. Thank you.
All right. Cody Hiller joins us. And, Cody, for our listeners that may or may not know your story, your path, you were graduated at Benton High School. Talk about your path from Benton High School to currently the AD at Summersville and now the boys basketball coach at Wayne City. Your path to get from Benton to those two places right now.
Sure. Like I said, I graduated from Benton High School and had the opportunity to play under Matt Wynn and Rod Sharp there for 4 years. Got done, went to Renwick College, got my associate's degree there. Actually had the opportunity a few years after that to coach the freshman and sophomore team for Matt Wynn and Rod Sharp. They gave me the opportunity to kind of get my feet wet, and it was a good learning opportunity for me there. From then, I kind of jumped around and did a little junior high boys basketball, Johnson City for a year. Finished up my degree at Carbondale. First job out of college was at Steelville High School. Got another opportunity to coach high school basketball as a junior varsity coach, assistant varsity coach under Gerald Mumbauer there at Steelville. And then from there, coached a year at Ina, the junior high level. And in the past 3 years, been at Summersville Grade School, where I had the opportunity to be the athletic director, coach baseball, girls basketball, and boys track. And now with the opportunity to coach at the high school level again at Wayne City. It's another new opportunity and an exciting one for me.
Looking at that, and I hear you're coaching boys and girls and now high school boys. You've coached at the junior high level for a long time. What's the difference, or is there a difference, coaching boys, coaching girls, as far as what sport from sport to sport, coaching those two different teams?
Well, I think there's a big difference. The word consistency comes to mind. With some of the boys teams I had, you can kind of go in and you got an idea that when you go into practice, you go into a game, you're going to get a consistent effort with the guys that you have. Girls, it's not always that way, or at least it hasn't been for me. Can be some ups and downs at times. But again, there's positives there too with the girls teams. I felt like at times we had a stronger core group with girls that stuck together at different times, different years than maybe you had with boys. So there are definitely differences in both, some ups and downs in both. But I've enjoyed coaching both girls and boys and at the junior high level and high school level.
Your job at Summersville is the athletic director, and we've talked to a lot of high school athletic directors about some of the things that they run into issue-wise or good things as being AD. Your job at Summersville as a grade school AD, what are kind of the things that you deal with day-to-day basis that we may not have discussed here for talking high school athletic directors?
Well, I don't think it's as in-depth as it is the high school level, although I will say it keeps me hopping anyway. I like to stay on top of things. A lot of it's the same. You know, you're in charge of getting all those game schedules from year in and year out. Make sure you've got the officials that you want hired for those events. We also run a cross country meet at Summersville. We're going to run another meet this year, so we're going to run 2 of those meets for cross country. We have one of the best gyms in the area, so we host a lot of basketball tournaments. We have a great shootout there in November. But again, I know a lot of the athletic directors in the area do a lot of the same things. So like I said, it keeps you busy, but it's a position that I really enjoy. I like having the option of changing a game schedule. If I have a weaker team or stronger team one year, or a coach can come and say, hey, I'd like to have this guy or that guy on the game. So it's a position that I really enjoy.
Now you're the newly hired coach at Wayne City High School. How many have you met your team? Have you been able to work with them at all in this late hiring? And how are things going at Wayne City so far?
Actually, yesterday I've tried to pull some guys together, and of course it's tough with being the end of summer and with as late as it is, and getting hired. It's not been the easiest to pull guys together, but we've scheduled some dates here this summer to try to get together and kind of meet and greet and get to know each other a little bit. But I did have the opportunity yesterday to meet 7 of them, and still got quite a few gone on vacation, which I hope to meet in the next couple of days. But met with 7. We kind of, like I said, just trying to get to know each other a little bit, and it's a new system. They're trying to get to know me, I'm trying to get to know them, and we're just trying to get to a point where we can be on the same page with each other.
A lot of talent returning at Wayne City, a lot of success at the junior high level. Those kids are coming through the program now. And of course, you also will be coaching in the prestigious Conrad Allen Holiday Tournament. How have you thought of that, and how prestigious that tournament is as far as high school basketball goes?
I have, yeah, and I was able to kind of see some games the last couple of years. I think they're on I think this will be the 61st year or something. I know it's ran a long time. A lot of good history in that tournament. Of course, it's played at Wayne City. It's something I'm looking forward to being a part of. Get my feet wet in that thing too. And like you said, good class that's come up to the junior high level. But we got a really good mix of not only that class that's coming up, but some of the upperclassmen in the junior and senior class as well.
Well, looking at that, of course, your athletic director duties and, of course, being boys basketball coach at Wayne City. Have you thought about how busy your winter will be now, having those 2 jobs to do?
It's something that we've talked about in my administration as well, and particularly myself and our principal and assistant principal at Summersville Grade School. We kind of rotate and take care of all of our home games so that we have supervision for our games, and that's something that I looked into before I took the position at Wayne City. It's a busy time of year anyway. Even with coaching girls basketball, you got that going on with AD duties and everything else going on too. So, it'll be busy. The basketball is something that I enjoy. I love coaching. Like I said, I love the AD position. I've had talks with my administrators about having that game covered. So I think we've got everything worked out. I don't think it's going to be an issue. Yes, it will be busy, but it's something I'm looking forward to.
Looking forward to, and you'll get used to this as you join us as we cover your games during this upcoming season at Wayne City. When you join the Saturday Sports Show, we always end with a final question. It's our social media question of the week, and we never know what we're doing, what we're going to ask. But this week's question is, what is your favorite season of the year?
Favorite season of the year?
Mm-hmm.
That has to be summer for me. I'm a teacher. It's one of the perks of being a teacher is you get those summers off, and of course we stay busy. And for me, we get a chance to get in the gym and get some things done in the summer that hopefully help lead into your season when you get rolling in November. So I think a lot of teachers would agree with me that this is the time for teachers to have some time off, get some things done at the same time.
Well, being a teacher in my other job, I totally understand and appreciate that answer very much. And, Cody, we thank you for joining us this morning. We will have you on many more times in the upcoming months and look forward to doing your games this year at Wayne City High School.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. That's Cody Hiller, the newly hired head coach of Wayne City boys basketball at the high school. He's current AD at Summersville, very successful girls coach there at Summersville, and a lot of the other sports he has coached over the last few years. A graduate of Benton High School, was taught and coached very well by Matt Wynn and Rod Schertz, a couple of our favorites here at the Saturday Sports Show at Benton High School. We need to take a break, come back. We're going to get you set and trained and ready to go for the upcoming sports season, whether you're an athlete, coach, or a fan. Carrie Hamill will join us next here on the Saturday Sports Show.
Every other incident, it seems as if someone says, "You'll never believe what happened." Hi, this is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers of Mount Vernon and Salem. I assure you, Landers Collision Centers has seen and fixed it all. Whether your toddler got behind the wheel and backed into the trash cans, a kid at school thought it would be funny to take off in your son's truck and sideswipe a brick wall, or even if your ex took a major league whack at your truck windows, we can make it go away, and we certainly won't judge. As a direct repair facility for many insurance companies, we take care of just about everything, even getting you into a temporary vehicle and offering free premium detailing for the life of your vehicle. That's the Landers difference. Top to bottom, big or small, Landers fixes them all. Come see us in Mount Vernon and Salem and ask us about free detailing for the life of your vehicle, or call 1-888-LANDERS. That's 1-888-LANDERS.
Here's Jeff Schmidt for Schmidt Chevrolet Cadillac of Mount Vernon.
You know, we believe that service sells cars. We understand that people expect good service, but we like to go far past that and go into the wow factor. We really like to wow our customers. We also have a shuttle service, something that very few dealerships have. We can shuttle you to work. We can come and pick you up when your car's done, deliver it, whatever. We will work with you. And if you're not already, we'd love to have you as a customer.
Schmidt Chevrolet Cadillac of Mount Vernon, 3423 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
I had been suffering with carpal tunnel for years, just coping with the symptoms of tingling of my fingers and gradually getting worse to the total numbness of my hands. My fingers were so numb and swollen, I couldn't even bend them. It was waking me up several times at night, and I was exhausted all day.
If this sounds familiar, you may be suffering from a condition called carpal tunnel syndrome. Dr. Ahn at the Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois specializes in treatment of the hand and wrist and treats carpal tunnel as well as treatment of the shoulder and elbow. He performs a minimally invasive procedure on patients who fail to respond to non-surgical methods of treatment. Endoscopic carpal tunnel release is a surgical treatment used to minimize pain, reduce scarring, reduce therapy, and allows patients to resume normal activities in a short period of time. Endoscopic surgery is a highly effective treatment and has been used for more than 20 years. For an appointment, please call Dr. Ahn at the Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois at 242-3778 or visit us online at orthocenter-si.com.
Rolling in to the top gun of orthopedic trainers and the athletic trainer at Mount Vernon High School, Carrie Hammond, joins us now. Carrie, how are you this morning?
I'm great. Thanks, Danny.
Well, Carrie Hammond, of course, we see you a lot on the sidelines and stuff, and as we are in the last weekend of July, and I know teams have been practicing and whatnot, and there's some athletes out there listening. There's some coaches probably listening. Media people are going to be out in the heat as well, covering events. Preparing, especially if you're an athlete, preparing for the upcoming practices and the heat and the humidity that allegedly are going to be happening. What can athletes and coaches do to prepare themselves to be out in the heat for a long, extended period of time before practice starts?
Well, the first thing is hydration. A lot of kids think that hydration starts, actually when they get to practice and drinking while they are practicing. But hydration starts either, 2 days before or even the day before they're going to be out in the heat. So staying properly hydrated is one of the most important things. And I'm a fan of water. They have the Gatorade products and the Powerade products and those electrolyte products. But I'm kind of old school and I like the water. Kids nowadays, they get a lot of their salt intake from French fries and salty food, and they don't need that supplement salt intake anymore. Whereas in the past, the coaches would give them, salt tablets or that kind of something. But anymore, our diet has so much salt in it. And then with the Powerade and the Gatorade, that comes with sugar. So sticking with plain water, I think, is one of the big things for me. either pre-practice or during practice. Post-practice, my athletes at Mount Vernon know this because I preach it all the time, but one of the best post-activity drinks that you can drink is chocolate milk. It has the right amount of protein and carbohydrates that help with muscle rebuilding and just basically refueling the body for the next day. But it only works if you drink it about 30 minutes to an hour after practice. You can't, wait 3 hours and then go home and drink some chocolate milk.
See, I'd heard of that because I'm known, chocolate milk's coming around. But back to the water.
Sure.
Per day, how much water should, whether it's an athlete or non-athlete, whatever, how much water should a person drink per day? Well,
when we're doing wrestling and we have to take their hydration test to see if the body is properly hydrated, we recommend 16 ounces a day. Or, I'm sorry, 8 ounces a day. And even with drinking that, the kids are still are not hydrated. So I would probably shoot for 6 to 8 of those, just a regular size water bottle. And I mean, obviously, if you drink tea or lemonade, that all counts as, hydration. Sodas, Monster products, things that have the caffeine in it will dehydrate you. So those aren't really good things to have in your body.
And that was, of course, obviously what all the children like to drink, obviously, off on their spare time and don't understand the lactic acid that builds up in your body, which prevents them from doing things. And as we get into fall, we get into football, baseball, softball, cross country, golf, tennis. We're outside more and more. Weather sometimes comes into the factor. And for our listeners who may or may not know, what are the rules as far as severe weather and what happens if storms roll into an area around an athletic event?
Well, the IHSA has several guidelines that we follow that basically says if thunder is heard or if lightning is seen, then we're to stop play and remove people from the playing field and seek shelter. That not only applies to the athletes, but also the fans. A lot of the fans are out there on metal bleachers, and for the life of me, I don't know why you would want to not get off metal bleachers when there's lightning in the area, but we have had a problem with that. So I encourage everyone to either seek shelter in a building if one's available, and if one's not, like for example in baseball and softball, just getting in your cars will have better protection than being outside.
And as we roll in, and as you mentioned, the weather, the heat, getting ready, sometimes to me, the hot, non-air-conditioned gyms for volleyball sometimes are worse than the outside events. I mean, as far as hydration goes, sometimes I think the volleyball players need to be more aware of this at times than the outside players. Wouldn't you agree?
I completely agree, and only because of the fact that there's no air circulation in the gym. At least with outside and the football players, they can take their pads off. If there is a breeze, it does kind of help evaporate that sweat off of them. Mount Vernon High School's gym is a hot box. There's no air circulation, and if we do have fans in there, it just circulates the hot air. So volleyball players, and when we start basketball in the early November, it's still, or when they're still having open gym, it's still a hot box in there. So my basketball and volleyball players, they get the same speech as our outdoor football players. And back to the severe weather, the IHSA rules is when we do call play and we go into a delay, we have to wait 30 minutes after the last lightning or the last thunder. So if we've waited 20 minutes and we hear thunder, that resets that 30-minute clock to start over again.
Yeah, that's true. And, of course, the seasons will be coming up, of course, in the fall, and it's getting around the corner. What's Carrie Hammond doing in her last moments of free time before all the seasons start and you become busy like we do?
Well, actually, we started football in early July, so we've already been hopping. At Mount Vernon, we've implemented electronic medical records, so everything I do now is online. And that's going to help me provide better documentation and basically better medical coverage for the athletes. I'll have all their information on my cell phone. And for the coaches, they won't have to carry around binders of emergency contact information and that kind of thing. It'll just be more accessible on their phone, which I hope will improve our communication with the coaches, with the parents, and just provide better medical care. So that's been a process implementing that this summer. But we are full. I would like to think we're full into football at Mount Vernon right now. My older boys are finishing up a camp at SIU, and our freshmen are going to be getting equipment on Monday. So we're head on into football, and as the heat is supposed to start, kind of climbing up, and the humidity. Fortunately, at Mount Vernon, we take a lot of precautions, so we don't have to deal with the severe heat during the day. We have a lot of practices early in the morning or late at night, and that's just strategic planning by our coaches, just so we don't have to deal with that severe weather.
Well, before you know it, we will be ready to go, but the first thing we need to do, and you know how this works, we always ask a social media question of the week, and this week's question is, what is your favorite season of the year?
That's a hard question. I like the changes of the season. I like and the changes of sports, because once in winter I get cooped up in basketball, and I just can't wait for spring and baseball just to be outside. But my personal favorite would be summer. I'm a golfer, and I do enjoy a little downtime in the summer. We don't provide any sports medicine in the month of June to the high school, so I do get a little reprieve from the high school, and I do get a lot of golfing in and playing some tournaments. And so that would probably be personally my favorite season.
Carrie, we thank you for joining us this morning here on the Saturday Sports Show. We, of course, will see you a lot this, again, upcoming sports season. Look forward to talking with you, and congratulations. You do such a great job with everybody in your roles at Mount Vernon High School and beyond, and we thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you. That's Carrie Hammond, athletic trainer at Mount Vernon High School, also director of, and I got to get the whole thing right here before I go. I don't want to slight what I was told. And the official capacity is Director of Sports Medicine at the Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois, Carrie Hammond. We'll see her a lot on the sidelines. Take a break, come back. More newly hired people. The new hire of Nashville High School, the athletic director, will join us next. Who is that? You have to find out on the other side here on the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
You can count on us. Yes, you can.
Hi, Roy Schmidt at Ford Square, Mount Vernon. This year marks our 29th year in business, and right now we have one of the best selections of new Ford and Lincoln vehicles in stock, ready for immediate delivery. We have financing as low as 0% for 60 months on certain models and cashback incentives as high as $10,000. If you are looking for a full-size truck for your job or leisure, or if you need a vehicle with great fuel efficiency, stop by Ford Square in Mount Vernon today. Our friendly sales staff will do everything possible to satisfy your transportation needs. And like always, at Ford Square Mount Vernon, the best never rests at 1501 Broadway in Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. Now is a great time to move your account to Community First Bank. With our new One account offering the highest interest rate in the market, free checking, and CD specials delivered by people you know and trust, why would you not bank with the market leader in Jefferson County? We offer 5 locations with 7 ATMs and have been serving the Jefferson County market since 1906. Stop in and see why our bank is the fastest growing bank in Jefferson County. Community First Bank. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC.
End of the summer, more hirings coming around. We had Cody Hiller on from Wayne City, who's recently hired as their new boys coach. And right now we have the newly hired athletic director at Nashville High School, Wayne Hari, joins us this morning. Coach Hari, how is your last Saturday in July going today?
Oh, it's okay. Talk about a new hire. I'm out here at the football field. We're gonna do some work on the football field. So I guess I'm hitting it with my feet running, I guess, and that's all part of it, I guess.
And that's the thing I was wanting to ask. You get hired this week as the AD at Nashville High School. Your sports world's going to get a little bit more busier as you're doing this morning. What kind of thought went into that before accepting that position, knowing a little more work going on for you over the sports season?
Well, the reason I was able to do it, when Neil Hammond left, he did a great job for us, and they changed the position to part-time, and that gave me a chance to maybe think about doing it. And I had a lot of support here at the high school to go ahead and take the job and see if I could do it or not. With me farming full-time, it's going to be tough, but it was something I was looking into, and maybe we'll give it a shot and see what happens. I know there's a lot of work to be done, and just to try to keep the what we do at Nashville High School going. I think that's a huge thing. I know Don started it, and Don Hawkins did such a great job. She was one of the tops of the state, and then Neil kept it going. So I've got a little pressure on me trying to making sure things keep going in the right direction, and I know that. But I've got a lot of support around me, and with me farming, and I've got got some help out there, and then I've got to come up here and make sure, hopefully, things are going well out here. I know I'm going to have to make some mistakes, like I've been telling people, but just bear with me, and I'll learn. I got to kind of learn on the job. I didn't. Neil got a chance to shadow Don for a whole year before he took the job because he was here, and they just kind of put me in this position, so I got to kind of learn on the go. So that makes a huge difference.
Well, speaking of pressure, do you think it makes it easier? You're a Nashville guy. You've coached there. Does it make it easier for you to transition to the AD role?
Well, I hope so. I know the community. I know a lot of people here. We've had pretty good relationships I've had pretty good relationships with the community and with the board and with administration. So hopefully it will. It's always it's a learning experience too. Like I said, when you take a new job. But one thing I have, I did do, and I've done a lot of coaching in the past. And I've coached boys basketball, under Darren, and then I've coached boys baseball, and I've coached girls volleyball and girls basketball and girls softball. So and I've rep football for 25 years. So and I kind of gave that up. But I've been around a lot of sports. I haven't been around a lot of track or golf, and things like that, or cross country. So I got to learn quite a bit about that. But I think that'll help too.
Which coach is going to be the hardest to work with at the high school? I got an idea. I've heard a story. Is it the girls' coach, or who else would be hardest to work with?
I think that girls' coach is going to be a pain. I really do. I think that girls' basketball coach could be a pain. So we're going to have to settle him down and see if he can. So we can make sure that he does the right things. You know what I'm saying?
I understand. That's why you're out there working on that football field. And I look at it this way: when you're a coach of your own sport, you're kind of micromanaged right into your own world and everything else. And now you're going to open up a new world where you're going to, as you said, mention working with all the sports at Nashville High School, the success and everything else. I mean, coming into this, it's just one of those deals where you got to keep things going, got to keep things happening. Sharing your time, do you expect that to take away from anything else, or are you going to manage things where you need to go?
Well, I definitely think there's no way you can have enough time to do everything. I mean, I think you got to try to put priorities where you need to go. Yes, we'll take it away from a little bit of the girls' basketball program. I think there's no question about that. It will. But here again, I've got great assistants, so I'm not really concerned about that. Every sport takes a little bit more. Like football takes a lot of time. Our football field is not the greatest shape, so I kind of inherited that situation. So we're trying to get that situation taken care of today. But again, it's just you got to try to gauge your time, where you can be and what you can do. And and me not, I'm not going to really work at the high school here. We kind of do a lot of things over the phone and through the computers, with the emails and things like that. So, if I have to run up here, I will run up here. So, it's going to give and take for everybody, but I think everybody's on board here, and I think that was huge for me. I wouldn't have done it if people, if I didn't think I could be here when I needed to be or have people covered for me. So, I think everything will work out.
Well, don't worry. There's a lot of football fields, natural grass fields in southern Illinois have taken a major hit from the winter kill this past brutal winter, so don't feel bad about the football field there because a lot of people are struggling with their football fields, getting them ready to go. And since you're busy today, we'll let you get back to your AD duties of looking at that football field. Before you go, you know how this works. We have that social media question of the week, and being a farmer, I'm going to be interested to see what your answer is to this one. And the question is, what is your favorite season of the year?
Well, since I'm talking about the farm here, we're talking about that. I always feel like, I'll be honest with you, I always like the fall. I like the fall. And the reason for that is, it seems like there's a couple reasons for that. In fact, in the summer, it's usually so hot. Well, this summer has been totally different than other summers in southern Illinois, but it's usually so hot and it finally cools down. And the other reason I like it is when you're farming, it seems like when you start in the field, you're always paying bills, you're paying bills. And finally, when you get on the fall, you feel like there's some money coming back to you, and it feels like all the work that you've done is finally starting to pay off. So that's kind of the way I like it. I'm kind of like a guy that kind of like to have a little cash that comes back at me. So that's kind of the way I look at it.
Oh, that's good. That's a good answer. Wayne, we appreciate you joining us this morning, even though you're busy out there, and we wish you the best of luck in your new job as AD. We're going to get to see you when the Lady Rams come for basketball in the fall at their Thanksgiving tournament. We'll get to talk to you all during the year as well for your basketball team, but we appreciate you taking the time out this morning joining us here on the Saturday Sports Show.
Well, I appreciate it. It might take away from my buddies, but we're fishing. We were talking about going fishing all the time, so I don't know if we can do that anymore. Want to talk about it.
You mean to tell me that fishing trip hasn't happened yet?
No, he took off without me. In fact, I asked Coach Bolt where he went. I saw him at Coach Bolt in Greenville and basketball camp, and he said, "Oh, you went fishing." I said, "Well, God, thanks for calling." He didn't even offer up, so I'll have to talk to Jeff about that a little bit.
Well, being AD, you can fix him at the tournament based on scheduling.
That's true. I think we talked about that last year or the year before. He had that early morning game sometimes, didn't he?
You got to do what you got to do if you can't get a fishing trip set up. You got to set out subtle reminders. You know what we mean?
Yeah. That's right.
Wayne, thanks for joining us this morning. Good luck.
He stays on top of me.
Oh yeah, that's what I say. We got to keep things lined out. That's for sure.
No question.
Yeah. Hey, Wayne, thanks for joining us this morning. Good luck. We'll talk to you again as basketball season comes forward, and we wish you nothing but the best in your new role as AD at Nashville High School.
I appreciate it. It's always great talking to you, Dan.
All right, thank you. That's Wayne Hari, the girls basketball coach at Nashville High School, and now the newly hired AD at Nashville High School. We'll take a break, come back with a first-time guest here on the Saturday Sports Show joining us. Who that is, you have to find out. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
I'm Kevin Snyder with a look at your next ride weather for the rest of the day. Remaining sunny, high this afternoon 77. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 55. Then tomorrow, partly sunny and humid, high 84 and a low 65. Humid and warmer Saturday with clouds and sun, a shower or heavy thunderstorm in the area, high 91. Clouds and sun with a shower or thunderstorm around on Sunday, still humid with a high of 90. A refreshing breeze with clouds and sun Monday, high 79. Next ride weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Second Chance Auto in Mount Vernon offers great quality cars at bank rate financing. That's great news. Who else in the area can offer you that? For nearly 35 years, they've been helping people with good and not so good credit get a good vehicle at a good price. Just make your payments on time and they'll save you thousands of dollars on the total price of your vehicle. Find out if you qualify by calling Jimmy and the crew at Second Chance Auto today at 244-4582. Second Chance Auto. Or stop by Route 142 East in Mount Vernon. You won't be disappointed.
The health of your kidneys has a big impact on your overall health, affecting everything from your blood pressure to your bones. And if you ever have a kidney problem, Dr. Kangura is here to help. Dr. Kangura trained at the Mayo Clinic and specializes in conditions ranging from kidney stones and uncontrolled high blood pressure to chronic kidney disease. Dr. Kangura sees patients at Crossroads Specialty Clinic. For an appointment, call 618-241-9071.
Sometimes on Twitter you find a lot of good things to read, and here at the Saturday Sports Show we have Twitter, of course, at WMIX Sports. And this week I found something very interesting, and on Twitter it was a story about Jake Odorizzi and his return to St. Louis as a Highland kid pitching for the Tampa Bay Rays, and he gets a win in his hometown, his home stadium, basically. And a guy who did a very good job of bringing out that emotion and bringing out the story before, during, and after behind the scenes is David Wilhelm of the Belleville News-Democrat, and David joins us now. David, first-time guest. I'm a long-time reader of your stuff, both at the BND and on Twitter. It's a pleasure for me to have you on our show here this morning.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
And you can follow Mr. Wilhelm at David M. Wilhelm on Twitter. And for our listeners who may or may not know, what is your role at the Belleville News-Democrat?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
At the Belleville News-Democrat, what is your role there as for your job at the Belleville News-Democrat?
Well, we all wear a lot of hats there. We have 4 guys in the sports department, not including the sports editor, but we all wear a lot of hats. For me, the fall and winter are full of boys soccer coverage in the fall. In the winter, a lot of basketball. In the spring, a little bit of high school baseball, but that's usually when the Cardinals season kicks in. And then from the spring on through the start of fall, when high school football starts, I'm usually doing Cardinals baseball. So a lot of high school football and soccer in the fall, and a lot of basketball in the winter, and Cardinals kicking up again in the spring. So just a cycle that keeps repeating itself.
And it's a good cycle. And as I mentioned coming into the intro, I read a lot of stuff on Twitter. And this week, and here's the thing I talk about, Jake from Highland is how I'm going to start this. Because Jake from Highland, his last name is pronounced about 13 different ways. What's the official pronunciation for Jake, the pitcher of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays?
Well, I've probably heard 13 ways also. I'd say Odorizzi.
Okay.
I've heard people say Odorizzi, but I've pronounced it Odorizzi in front of his mom and dad, and they haven't corrected me, so I assume I'm right.
Yeah, and I thought you did a good thing because you follow the Cardinals and everything else and do a lot of work, that way for the BND. And you mentioned there's some nights you go to the ballpark and you have fun, and it's a fun night. This was one of them Tuesday night. Local kid comes back, does well. That had to be fun to know that you probably saw him play in high school to see him come back and pitch in Busch Stadium as a local kid.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, a lot of nights over there, it's just a routine. I'm never going to say it's not fun. I mean, it's always fun to be in a big league ballpark watching pro baseball. But that night was very fun. It was the last time I had seen Jake was, I believe, I think I told him it was his senior year of football. I did not see him play baseball his senior year at Highland, but I saw him play triad in football, and he had a bunch of catches that night. And I asked him the other day if he remembered who won, and I guess it's an example of how much he's gone through over the years, but he said he did not remember who won that game. And I believe Highland beat Triad that night in football. But it was really neat to see him do well. The concern when you go into a game like that is there's been so much hype about it, and he had so many people there to watch him. And like I say, the concern is perhaps that he just falls flat and doesn't, live up to his expectations. But on that particular night, he threw the ball very well after kind of a slow start, and the Tampa Bay scored some runs for him, and he got the win. So it was a real fun night because you find yourself kind of pulling for the local guy, and it was good to see him go in there and not only pitch well, but to get the win and to beat his hometown team. I mean, it was what a night of emotions for him, and it was emotional for all the people who knew Jake and were there to watch the game.
500 plus from Highland make the trip, and you mentioned that. You talked about all of the emotion that goes into it before. They had a day off. Tampa Bay came into town Sunday because Evan Longorio and David Price were tweeting pictures from the ballpark at the night game on Sunday night. So the Rays were in town. Did Jake get to come back to Highland at all? Did he stay in St. Louis? What was his week plans while they were in town?
I'm not sure whether he went over to Highland or not. I would imagine he did, but I never talked to him about whether he went home. His schedule was pretty busy. I know he got in here the Sunday night, and did not go to the game. He didn't want to fight the crowd, and he felt like resting. And then the next morning, Monday, he went over to the park, I believe, with Alex Cobb, and had a little workout, played a little catch, looked around the ballpark. And then Tuesday was the game. So it seemed to me like it was pretty much a business trip. I think the only time maybe he might have gone home would have been Monday after the workout in the morning. But I tell you, he did a lot of interviews Monday, though. I mean, I talked to him for 10 minutes or so, but he did a lot of those 10-minute quick-hit interviews with a lot of different people that day. So I don't know whether he would have squeezed in time to get home or not. I know he got to see his parents, obviously, and spoke with them. But whether he went home, I'm not sure. I'm assuming he did, but I just didn't ask him for sure.
So rare that, a kid comes back, locally. It's one thing to have a kid or kids drafted and they play minor leagues and they happen to get to the major leagues. The odds, are so small. But to have a kid come back and play in his home ballpark, basically, he was at the 2011 World Series. He was at the 06 World Series. I mean, this is something that I thought, did a very good job of writing eloquently to get it out to the reader that, hey, this is something you just don't see very often. And for him to go as well as it did, it was very cool for him and everybody involved.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely not something that happens every day. And he even mentioned that Monday. He goes, this isn't something you get to do very often. And it's true. He would have probably felt a little more at home at the Old Busch Stadium because he mentioned that that's where he saw most of the games. But he'd also come over here, like you mentioned, to the New Busch and had seen several games there. So, yeah, really, I mean, for him to keep his emotions together, not only for the game against the Cardinals and Adam Wainwright, one of his favorite players, and then to have all those people in the stands and all the emotion that leads up to that game, for him to keep it all together and pitch a good game really shows you the mental toughness and strength that he has, which is something all major leaguers have to succeed. But he's obviously developed and grown up and matured into a great young man, and he's really got a nice future ahead of him if, he stays healthy, and that's the case with every pitcher. They've got to stay healthy.
And you look at that night, too, Joe Madden, the manager for the Rays, got ejected for arguing balls and strikes, and Adam Wainwright was allegedly yelling at him, and Madden said, I wasn't yelling at him, I was yelling at the umpire. He had all that going on, so you throw that into the mix. Joe Madden's been such a staple, one of the best managers in baseball over the last decade. He gets ejected, and Jake's got to go through that. I mean, all of that emotion going through there, I mean, he had to be absolutely tired Tuesday night when that was over with everything that went on in that game.
Oh, yeah, I definitely think you are correct on that. He was emotionally taxed at the end. Very happy, kind of a situation where you've gone through something personally in your life that was a big goal, and then finally you get to the end and you just exhale. And I think Jake was at that point where he was just exhaling after the game, a nice smile on his face. He was happy that he had done well. He was happy that Tampa Bay had won again. But you could tell that it had probably taken its toll on him physically and mentally, just with all the things that were going on leading up to that game. So I think he was very proud of himself and also very relieved that it was over and they had won.
Moving on, we switch gears a little bit. We here at WMIX, we kind of look forward to the high school football season. It's 4 or 5 weeks away. From the Metro East perspective, whether it's Mississippi Valley, Southwestern Conference, Cahokia Conference, any favorites you see in the upcoming sports season for the football over there in that part of the world?
I was talking about this question with my father-in-law the other day, coming home from a long trip, and he had asked me the same question, and I said, well, it's probably going to be the usual suspects in the Southwestern Conference, at least, Edwardsville and East St. Louis. It seems like every year those are the teams that are beating that league, but there's always some good competition in that league from other schools. Belleville West has been better, and they've got their quarterback back, Sharan Boyd, and they've got their kicker who's back, and they'll be okay, I think. And then the Valley, again, usual suspects have tried, coming off a kind of a tough year last year, is back. Highland could be good. It's hard to know for me personally at this point because you don't know what all these rosters have, but I was telling him that I imagine Edwardsville. I'll go out on a limb and predict Edwardsville and East St. Louis will be pretty good.
That's a pretty safe bet,
Playing it pretty close to the vest there.
Hey, we appreciate you coming on first time, and we've really enjoyed talking with you. And again, I want to say what a great job you did bringing out the emotions of Jake Odorizzi returning back and playing and winning. And when you join us, and we're going to have you on obviously in the future, we do one last question. It's our social media question of the week, and this week's question is based on what is your favorite season of the year?
Ooh, boy, that's a good one, because it seems like I'm one of those kind of guys that every time this new season comes around, I say this is the one I like the best. But I think for the continuity's sake, I do love the high school sports. We all do. We have to there at the paper, but I love that season. But I also love the summer because you can really get into the Cardinals, and there's nothing else going on, and you have a chance to really get into a flow and some continuity. So I would have to say the summer, and it's probably not strange for me to say that because that's what I'm in right now. But you check back with me in March when the NCAA tournament's going on and basketball season is winding down, and I'll probably say that's my favorite time of the year. So I really like them all. Right now I like the summer because it's we got the continuity of the Cardinals playing every day and battling for a division championship. So I guess that's how I would answer that one.
I'll give David Wilhelm a follow on Twitter, at David M. Wilhelm. And, David, we appreciate you joining us this morning for the first time. We look forward to having you on more times in the future on the Saturday Sports Show and look forward to reading more of your stuff. Thanks for taking time out this morning to join us on the Saturday Sports Show.
Oh, you bet. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. That's David Wilhelm of the Belleville News-Democrat. So I said you can follow him on Twitter at David M. Wilhelm. Does a lot of good things, follows the Cardinals, a lot of good stuff, and give him a follow. On the other side of the break, as we head into hour number 2, we have another guy that writes for a newspaper. After the break, we'll tell you who it is here on the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
Registration for fall classes at Wren Lake College is going on now. With more than 100 degree and certificate programs, RLC can put you on the fast track to a new career or to continue your education. More affordable than four-year universities and private schools, you can save thousands of dollars at RLC. Our trained academic counselors will make sure you're on the right path, whether you plan to transfer to a four-year university or head straight into the workforce. Registration by appointment continues through August 1st. Call us at 437-5321 or find us online at rlc.edu. Wren Lake College, your journey starts here.
If you can't pick us up where you live, move. This is WMIX, Mount Vernon, Marion, another Withers Broadcasting Station.
There's no other Toyota dealership like it in the region. It's totally techno, chic, and totally you.
Tyler Toyota. It's like car heaven.
It's totally brand new.
Totally built for you.
Welcome to Tyler Toyota, the best car and truck buying experience in Southern Illinois.
Totally.
We're celebrating the grand opening. Newly renovated and highly celebrated Tyler Toyota. Totally
Tyler.
Toyota.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. Now is a great time to move your account to Community First Bank. With our new One account offering the highest interest rate in the market, free checking, and CD specials delivered by people you know and trust, why would you not bank with the market leader in Jefferson County? We offer 5 locations with 7 ATMs and have been serving the Jefferson County market since 1906. Stop in and see why our bank is the fastest growing bank in Jefferson County. Community First Bank. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC.
Hour number 2 of the Saturday Sports Show rolls on. Danny Zerwinski with Jeff Crow in studio, along with Avery Barton. Chris Hugo away on assignment. Joining us is one of our favorites here on the Saturday Sports Show, the sports editor of the Southern Illinois, and Mr. Les Winkler. Les, how are you this morning?
A little short on the mister, but other than that, not too bad.
Summer's kind of the de facto downtime for high school sports, but in your world in the summer, what does Les Winkler do as far as work and or relaxation for the high school sports season starts?
Well, the summer is obviously the time when our staff gets a chance to recharge a little bit. We all kind of take vacations and try to get away from it for a little while. And, there's still a few things going on with coaching changes, and the IHSA always has a rule change here or there that we look into. But and the Southern Illinois minors keep us busy. The SIGA, which you're a little bit familiar with, but we find a few things to keep us busy.
And it's always busy, and of course in the next few weeks, business will pick up at the start of the high school sports fall season. And of course there's at least 6 different sports in Southern Illinois where high school sports teams play. Your coverage is amazing with what's going on, with the amount of people you have to work with. Your coverage of high school sports is pretty darn good. And your football preview, when will you guys start going through as far as getting that ready to go here in the next few weeks?
Actually, it's kind of started already. It's you have to lay a lot of the groundwork. I've been in contact with athletic directors in the last couple of weeks to get all their fall schedules into us. we run a daily calendar of events. Every game that's being played in the area that night, and that really, well, if we get that ahead of time, that really gives us a kind of a heads up as to where we need to be, because it's gonna happen pretty quickly. I was just working on some things the other day. The River to River volleyball conference tournament is either August 31st or 30th, one of those 2 days, and it's time to start thinking about finding a reporter to get there to cover that. And you kind of alluded to with the staff we had. The newspaper business, the media business is changing, as you know. There have been cutbacks and stuff, so we rely more and more on independent contractors to go and do things for us. And when you're dealing with people who don't actually work for the newspaper, you have to do a lot of scheduling well in advance. So in the last 4 or 5 years, that's really been a big change for us. It's you make a lot of phone calls, you send out a lot of texts and emails to see when people are going to be available, and you try to get them there at game time.
Well, looking ahead for me especially, when does the football preview come out for the Southern Illinoisans? I need that before I start my football season officially.
Yeah, I always get a message from you right before that appears in print. That will normally appear in the newspaper either the day before season begins or the day that the season actually kicks off. So somewhere on my computer is a calendar that tells me exactly the date it will be published, but that technically, from my standpoint, the date it appears in the paper isn't the big deal. It's the deadline date that we have to have all our stories and photos and everything in. Is the day I'm concerned about, and that's about a week before it appears in print. So.
Well, you know me, I got to have that. I mean, that goes in my bag. It's with me for the entire football season, and I keep it. I'm not bragging, but I say this. I have football previews from Seth Smith of Carbondale. That's how long I've had. I've got a whole stack of these newspapers. I'm a hoarder of things like that. So if that tells you anything while I look forward to it, I have a whole bunch of those like that.
Well, and it really is kind of a handy thing because we generally, if space permits, we try to put a master schedule in there so that every Friday night is listed with all the games being played and the locations. And I know a lot of coaches really, really like that for scouting purposes because it's a pretty handy little guide where they can just, like you said, just have it in your briefcase and pop it open and see who's playing where on any given night. So I think it is one of the more popular things that we do every year.
Well, last week we had a show, and we called it Commissioner for a Day of the IHSA, and we had a lot of people on. I'm kind of filling over and overflowing into this week as well. If Les Winkler was in charge of the IHSA for a day, what's one thing or things you would like to either change, make new, or whatever for if you were in charge of the IHSA?
The first thing I would do is reduce the number of classes. I think 3 would be a very good number for basketball. I think 6 is a good number for football. I think it's just a little bit too spread out. And I wouldn't mess with the lower end of the spectrum very much. In basketball especially, I just don't understand why there has to be. Is there really a difference between a school with 2,000 kids and 4,000 kids? I think there's a very big difference between 300 kids and 600. Because you're just the sheer numbers, you just don't have. The people aren't there. But once you get over 2,000, I mean, is there really a major difference that would require a separate classification? And I think the other thing that would do is there's just been so much hand-wringing over the last 10 years over private schools and their success. And I think if you cut back on the number of classes and those schools are cutting up a class, that's going to make a big difference. I don't think you would see the domination that you see right now.
I kind of like you. The private school thing bothers me at times, but the success factor, to me, they kind of put the house out there, they put the roof first and forgot the foundation, so they're kind of taking it back and wanting to start over. Is that kind of the drift you've gotten?
Well, the way it's set up, the way the thing is set up right now, you would have to win, 2 state championships in 3 years. So I'm not sure how big a factor that would be because there have been a couple of schools that do that. Addison Driscoll made that big run a couple of years ago. But I really don't know how many schools would actually be affected by that. So initially it bothered me a lot, but the more I look at it, the more I'm like, I just don't know that it would affect that many people. I do like the other part of it, though, the multiplier waiver for schools that just, Metro East Lutheran is a good example to me. I mean, they're a private school, but they've never had great athletic success, and to bump them up a class where they have absolutely no chance of ever advancing, I don't know how fair that is either. So, I come from a private school background, and I know my voice is a minority, but it's my voice, so I'm going to express that opinion.
And you brought that up, and this brings me to another problem. This is number one on my list, I think, is the football scheduling problem. Your alma mater in Breeze Mater Day has to, and I'm not trying to compare their schedule to an Edwardsville or a Fallon, but I am saying south of 64. And I know they're north, but anyway, south of 70, let's say. If there is a tougher schedule for a school to play outside of Mater Day, I want to see who it is, because they have I think the toughest football schedule this year, bar none, for that size of school. As far as teams.
Well, and that's a product of the way the football playoffs are set up, where you have to be 5-4. They've been a good football program for the last 20 years, and people just don't want to schedule them because they're not the schools people want to schedule on their non-conference schedule are W's. They don't want to take an L, and they don't even want to take a maybe. So Mater Day is kind of thrust in that. I've always kind of wondered about that. I mean, like, they would seem like a good fit for a Carterville or a Heron or somebody like that, and that just doesn't happen, and that's fairly remarkable to me.
I'm like you. I think football, and I don't know what your thought on this. I said this last week. I think in our lifetimes, if something's not changed or a lot of change is done, I think high school football will change dramatically from when you've grown up through it, how I've grown up through it. I think high school football in our lifetimes could considerably and dramatically change from what we know based on scheduling, numbers, and participation if something's not done differently over the next few years.
I'm not sure high school football will survive for another 20 years. The move towards soccer, the latest stuff with concussions and everything like that, I just don't know, especially at the smaller schools. I mean, the big schools like the Metro East Devils and people like that, maybe, but I just don't know that a small school, a school under 600-700 will be able to sustain a football program.
I wonder, too, about that, and I've said, too, that as state aid gets cut, and every year it gets cut worse, less and less and less schools get, that you're going to see schools not be able to stay above water. So you're going to see closings, you're going to see consolidations, you're going to see bigger schools, and at that point, the system of scheduling is going to have to be changed over the next 10 to 15, 20 years in Illinois, I think. Or, as you said, football is going to go by the wayside, or at least not look the same as we have looked at it over the years.
Well, since you mentioned consolidations, I think that's going to be a major factor here in the next 10 or 15 years, especially if our economy stays pretty sluggish. I always use Saline County as an example. I live in Saline County. We have 4 high schools in this county, and there are a total of there are less than 1,200 kids attending those 4 high schools. You just look at the duplication of services. You look at physical plant costs. You look at transportation costs. I just don't know how long. And I understand. I understand the small town is still identifies itself with its high school, and the high school mascot is supposedly the toughest animal in the world to kill. And I understand that, but I think the economic reality is going to grab us here in the next, unless we just have a remarkable economic turnaround.
I love that. The school mascot is the toughest animal to kill. I love that. That's
right.
That's good. That's good stuff.
I didn't make that up. I forget where I heard that, but I should attribute it to someone, but I don't know where it came from, but it's very true if you ask me.
Oh, and that's very true because, schools, don't want to close. Towns don't want their schools to go by the wayside. That may be one of the best quotes I've heard in a long time on radio. I mean, that's a great quote. You got to keep that one somewhere. Don't ever lose that.
Well, and I mean, I don't think it's anecdotal. I think if you just look around, if I'm going to go cover a football game on a Friday night, what are the chances that the crowd at, let's say, Setzer-Valier versus Hamilton County will be just as big as the crowd at Carbondale versus Alpha.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the smaller towns are still wrapped up in their schools, and that's a wonderful thing. I'm not trying to degrade that or denigrate that, whatever. But as you get into the bigger schools and you get bigger cities, there are just more entertainment options. There are more options within the school in terms of athletics and activities. So it's a pretty big disparity, I think, especially if you look at a percentage basis. You know where the attendance is. So
yeah.
It's a better thing that's fascinated me for the last 15 years.
Well, being an outdoorsman, as you are, our social media question of the week, I think, will be a tough one for you. And this week's question is, what is your favorite season?
My favorite season, you mean in terms of
like
athletics,
a calendar,
in terms
like
of
what is
weather,
your?
Or
Yeah, it could either be a sports season or a favorite season of the calendar. You know, of the year, like fall, winter, spring, summer.
Okay, I'm gonna take the easy way out. I'm gonna say spring because I'm a baseball guy, I'm a fishing guy, and I love birding. So that's when all the birds come through. So yeah, spring is green is my favorite color. So when things start turning green and the fish start biting and the birds are flying and the bats and balls are out of the closet, that's my time of year right there.
Well, that's a good choice to pick because that's when the golf clubs, you know, my golf clubs are out all the time, but that's when they really come out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can play. See, I can't.
That's what they tell me. I'm still pretty particular. I want to be, you know, I always try to want to get better, you know.
Well, everybody does. Though.
Right. I know. I'm meticulous about stuff like that, especially golf. I got to have everything just right.
I was looking for you at the British Open last week. I didn't see you.
No, I crafting my skills over in Perry County at Red Hawk. That's where I usually craft them at. Yeah. Oh man, Les, thanks for joining us.
They don't have any gorse there.
I do what?
They don't have any gorse there.
Well, I got plenty of gorse. It's called fescue in spots. Let me tell you. You know, wayward drives, trying to be hit it long on TV, end up there. You know. Hey, Les, thanks for
I seen you play.
Yeah, I know. Hey, thanks for joining us this morning, and we look forward to the football edition that'll come out the week of the football, beginning of football, and appreciate your time this morning and the great work you do at the Southern Illinoisan as well.
Yeah, just look for it on the Thursday or Friday before kickoff.
I will. Don't you worry. That or I'll text you, one of the two.
There, yeah, I know you will.
All right,
good day, buddy.
Hey, thank you. That's Les Winkler, the sports editor of the Southern Illinoisan. Moving along, our next guest, we're going to talk a little golf. A little golf coming up. Big tournament in Benton this weekend, one of the most prestigious on the SIGA Tour. We'll have a WMIX sports correspondent joining us who not only will tell us about it, but will play in it as well. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Wilt. I want to thank Mount Vernon and the surrounding area for continuing to support us over the past 5 years. If you have never sat down with someone to go over your insurance program, let me invite you into our office. Let us show you what working with the industry leader, represented by a local agent, can do for you. I'm located just off 42nd Street. You can reach our office 24 hours a day at 242-1421 or on the web at tonywilt.com. Thanks again, and go Rams.
How does a lower interest rate, lower monthly payment, and $7,500 in down payment assistance sound? Hi, this is Joy Schrader, mortgage specialist with People's National Bank. People's National Bank has proudly partnered with the Illinois Housing Development Authority to offer these great benefits to first-time homebuyers. Stop by 413 South 34th Street today for details and let me help you unlock the door to your future.
People's National Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Find us online at peoplesnationalbank.com and don't forget to follow us on Facebook.
A digestive problem can affect every area of your life. But now there's a specialist right here in town who focuses on digestive health. Mayo Clinic trained Dr. Tegpaul Atwal has opened the only gastroenterology clinic in Mount Vernon. Dr. Atwal treats acid reflux, gallbladder problems, inflammatory bowel disease, ulcers, and more. For your appointment with Dr. Atwal at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 618-241-9071.
Time to talk a little golf. The SIGA hosts a little event today at the Benton Country Club known as the Gold Cup. And joining us now is WMIX sports correspondent Chris Kays, who not only will be there covering it, but he'll also play in it. Chris Case, how are you this morning?
Good. How you doing, Danny?
Doing very well. Little history involved with the Gold Cup. I think arguably one of the most prestigious golf tournaments the SIGA has on their calendar each and every year.
I think if you talk to anybody out at Benton Country Club, myself included, we will make a grand argument that it isn't it is the most prestigious amateur tournament in Southern Illinois. Now, we're a little biased, obviously. The Americans love the U.S. Open. Every European says that the Open Championship is where it's at. And then, you have the Masters, which is kind of more. I often compare the Benton Gold Cup to like the Masters. Now, I know it sounds like a little bit of a stretch, but, it's just there's a lot of tradition. Not so much anymore since the old clubhouse was an old fixture. It went down a couple of years ago. But it's the same people, every year we fill up. We have 120 playing spots, and we have a waiting list 10 days out for people trying to get into this tournament. That's anywhere from your championship players all the way down to D-Flight. We've got a spot for everybody. But we are the only one that can boast, surely, that half of our field of that 120 are playing for the Gold Cup title as in the championship flight. So it's really, really hard to compare other tournaments around here to the Gold Cup because they had trouble getting 60 players in their entire tournament. And we've got 60 or 61 vying for the tournament title.
Looking at yesterday, obviously the Pro-Am happens. It's Name Drop Central. Big names or names that would be familiar to sports fans that played in the Pro-Am yesterday at Benton?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of local guys. We have a lot of guys in Southern Illinois that, played some high school golf, played some amateur golf, some that won a Gold Cup, and then went on to become, PGA of America professionals. And, our courses in this area. Tom Wargo played yesterday. That's a senior PGA and senior British Open champ, golf course owner. He was there yesterday, and he's played in a ton of Pro-Ams. Bob Goff from St. Louis. This is a guy that's played in a couple of U.S. Opens, 3 or 4 PGA championships. I actually saw him play at Tulsa at Southern Hills in 07. We have Mike Tucker of Bell Reeve. That's the Mount Vernon guy. So, just a lot of big names. Mark Faulkner down at Lake Egypt. He's a former Gold Cup champ, and he came in and fired a little 63 yesterday to miss low pro by 1 to Carmine's Kyle Hosick, who sells some insurance as his day job and he's playing a little golf on the side as a professional. So, there's a lot of good players. It's quite amazing the draw we get for a little 9-hole course.
Today and tomorrow, of course, you get a lot of top golfers in Southern Illinois. Some of the names we've had know of: Drew Navarra, Andrew Mitchell, Trevor Flota, local young kids playing at the college level. Talk about some of the names that'll be playing this year at the Gold Cup.
It's a stacked field. The SIGA championship tends to get a pretty stacked field. Of course, they played earlier this year, which a lot seem to like, and you have a lot of the kids that play at Logan and at Southern, and you have some kids that come home to play, and of course, the SIGA championship, the champion gets that automatic exemption into the state amateur. We've got a loaded field. We've got defending champion Andrew Mitchell there, who is playing some hot golf. Probably some of the best golf in his life. And, he's at a good point right now, to not only defend and repeat at the Gold Cup, but, maybe to take that with him into the U.S. Amateur here in the next couple of weeks down at Johns Creek. Andrew Navarra has played a ton of golf this spring, and played good golf on top of it, not just good, great golf. This kid doesn't do a lot of things wrong. He just finished up with the Northern Amateur up in Northern Illinois yesterday with a tied 21 finish, a pretty stacked field up there, and then he'll be at Benton this weekend. So I'm sure he's a little tired, but he's got the game. Then we've got Steve Socek from Columbia, a Logan and a Southern guy. Thomas Simpson, who's playing some good golf. He would be, trying to do the father-son thing. His dad, Scotty, won it back in the mid-'90s, and I know that he's, had a couple close calls. I know that he wants it. His brother, Andrew Simpson, who's going to Lewis and Clark to play golf, playing some good golf out there. So we've got a ton of young kids, and that kind of, some of our older guys kind of, mumble under their breath, can't compete with these young guys. But deep down that some of these guys who are in their 30s, they want to go out and beat beat these college kids who, in a way play golf for a living because it's what pays for their school. So, nothing short of exciting this weekend. If someone runs away with it, someone's played some mighty good golf.
Wind is supposed to kick up today, 10, 15, 20 mile an hour on the old course. That'll change some things out there as well. But from your perspective, Benton guy, you've played at that country club all your life. You played in this tournament. For you, what does it mean to have the Gold Cup and you play in it as well?
Sports fans, general sports fans, have a couple of weeks a year where the calendar's marked, the calendar's ready, tell the wife, hey, don't bother me this weekend because we've got a lot going on. Final Four, we just said the NCAA tournament. It starts, we lose work productivity, whole 9 yards. For someone like me or you, Masters Week, it's the unofficial kickoff to golf. It's the first major of the year. Springtime's here, summer's almost here. Love Open Week. We'll get to celebrate PGA Championship Week, on site this year in the next 2 weeks. That won't be too shabby. But for those of us at Benton Country Club, for us Benton guys, we mark our calendars, a year in advance. We have guys who plan vacations around this thing, and that's not an understatement. One of our playing partners from Memphis a couple of weeks ago came home early from a vacation last year so he wouldn't miss the festivities of the Gold Cup. And then, his wife was fine with it, which makes it even better. But, it's an important event. I mean, I'll stop just a hair short of saying it's Benton's homecoming. That's not, high school related. It's a big deal. You see a lot of people that you don't see all year. We'll have some practice games, leading up to the Gold Cup, and you can always kind of start to tell when Gold Cup's coming up, because some of these people come out of the woodwork. You won't see these people on a golf course all year, and then here they are out at Benton Country Club getting ready for the Gold Cup. So, everybody's, hitting more range balls, spending more time chipping and putting and practicing shots they normally wouldn't. And I think there's just a different buzz around the course starting about, probably the weekend before the tournament kicks off. It's a big deal for our little community.
Big deal for you. You get to cover, you get to play in it as well. We know you're busy and pressed for time a little bit today, excited getting ready for the tournament. But our final question for you is, of course, our WMIX Sports social media question of the week. And this week's question is, what is your favorite season of the year?
That is a tough one. I'm going to cross out winter very quickly because I love to be outside. It's going to have to be spring or fall. Summer's kind of nice because guys like you and I get to spend a lot of time on the golf course. We'll go with spring. Get to spend a lot of time outside. It's not too hot. Spring's where it's at, for those of us that like to knock that little white ball around.
Yep. Knock that little white ball around the day. Good luck this weekend on your 2 rounds. May you finish very well and enjoy the big, prestigious Gold Cup, and thank you for taking time out of your Saturday as you get ready for that tournament. Join us here on the Saturday Sports Show.
You had to wake up a little early, got that 3:06 tee time, so I'm going to know what it's like to be in the leader group, I guess, is what I'm going to pump myself up to say. But thanks for having me.
It's like being in the leader group. And speaking of leaders, after golf at my country club, I won't say what or whom, but somebody won again yesterday, twice. So,
for some reason, I'm not particularly surprised. That particular person has been on fire this summer. I mean, I hope that he's going to collect a 1099 at the end of the year.
Yeah. He's been on fire a long time, not only this summer, but you know how it is. Chris, thanks for joining us. Good luck this weekend, and I look forward to reading some stuff on Twitter from you at Bucket Hat One about the tournament this weekend.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. That's Chris Kays. We'll take a break. Come back. Our final guest in the anchor position, sports director of Channel 3, Mr. Darren Kennard, will join us here on the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
I'm Kevin Snyder with a look at your next ride weather for the rest of the day. Remaining sunny, high this afternoon 77. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 55. Then tomorrow, partly sunny and humid, high 84 and a low 65. Humid and warmer Saturday with clouds and sun, a shower or heavy thunderstorm in the area, high 91. Clouds and sun with a shower or thunderstorm around on Sunday, still humid with a high of 90. A refreshing breeze with clouds and sun Monday, high 79. Next ride weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
The Medicine Shop in Mount Vernon provides personal health care on a level that no big box chain or mail order service can. That's why Consumer Reports ranked independent drugstores like the Medicine Shop #1 in customer service and satisfaction. I'm pharmacist and owner Eric Black. Did you know that independent pharmacies like the Medicine Shop receive no kickbacks from drug manufacturers? This means that the advice you get from our staff is based only on what's best for your health. Did you also know that we offer access to your medication when you need it? No long waits or hoping that the mailman shows up with your medicine before you run out. We employ local people and pay local taxes, which means a positive economic impact to this community. Finally, we know how busy your life is. That's why we offer free delivery to work or home. Give me a call today and I'll show you how easy it is to switch. The Medicine Shop Pharmacy, 2339 Broadway in Mount Vernon. Or give us a call at 242-8776.
More Americans are on a move today than ever before. One of the most popular modes of transportation is the motorcycle. Motorcycles take us to our jobs, school, to the beach, and all around the country. If you're a bike rider, your Pekin Insurance Agency, Page Insurance on Crownview in Mount Vernon, wants to make sure you have the best insurance protection while you're riding. Ask about the money-saving auto cycle discount and the experienced driver discount, too. Call Page Insurance at 242-7000 today about motorcycle insurance from Pekin Insurance.
Summer is here, and the anchor guest of today's Saturday Sports Show on the final weekend of July. Joining us now, the sports director of Channel 3, WSIL-TV, Darren Kennard, joins us. And Mr. Darren Kennard, on this Saturday in July, how are you today?
I am doing well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing very well, and we're going to go through the gambit of kind of sports topics here today. Last week we had commissioner for the day for the IHSA. Before we get to that, the one thing we wanted to talk about, the IHSA meetings with the state government of Illinois. Your thoughts on that, as we haven't had you on since those had one, didn't have one now, not going to have one until September. Your thoughts on those hearings that have happened or are going to happen as well?
Well, I'm not sure we have enough time left in the show, Danny. It just is amazing to me the amount of waste that goes on with our state government. And this is a prime example of you have people that are trying to look like they're making a huge difference, and they're trying to they're trying to gather some public support and, this quote-unquote fact-finding mission. And basically, I don't think they can stand that the IHSA doesn't answer to them. And now, this is certainly by no means would you consider an IHSA honk. But, when you look at what they do and how they do it, and you look at the success that they've had overall, big picture stuff, to think that state government could step in and do it better, all you have to do is look at a daily effort of what state government is doing and understand that that's not the case. And you've got a bunch of people that are grandstanding, that are trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. And, what's funny is that they're wanting accountability from the IHSA on the, over and above the $2.7 million that they give back to the schools. Now, if whatever that percentage is or should be, that's why the member schools have a chance to, if they think it should be more, then bring it up and vote on it and things like that. But it just seems highly hypocritical to me that these legislators are worrying about a couple $1 million when, you look at all the school districts in the state that have been shortchanged from the money that they were supposed to be given by the state government. It's just unfathomable. And it's one thing to do it once in Springfield and have them come up there, but now when you want to take the dog and pony show on the road, I'd be interested to see what the bill was for that little jaunt to Chicago to have that meeting up there. And then, they said that there would be another one, quote unquote, downstate, which I know that the folks in Salem have been trying to set up and host. But I mean, it's a ridiculous waste of time and money, and it's just a huge head scratcher to me.
Looking at that, and again, we know there are a lot more good things IHSA does than things that we disagree with. But like I said last week, at Commissioner for the Day of the IHSA, what would Darren Kennard do if you were Commissioner of the IHSA for a day? What things would you change or make new if you were in charge of the IHSA?
Well, I think that I think that when you look at the big picture, I like the fact that they're doing they're doing a lot of different things. This isn't just a basketball and a football organization, and but that being said, the baskall and the football and that stuff, those revenue sports are the ones that support the other 20 some. So you've got to figure out a way to make basketball be a big deal again, because obviously, as we've seen it firsthand the last few years, attendance has dropped. I know there are those that say, well, it's because of 4-class system, and I think that's an easy out. I think that that's a bit overblown. I mean, I don't. I don't think at this point that you could go back to 2 classes. But at the same point, I think that you need to look at the overall big picture and see why have these things struggled. And one of the things when they moved the girls' golf from our area, they said that they wanted to get things more centrally located. Well, then on the football, they awarded I can't remember if it's odd or even years that Champaign's not available. Well, they awarded it to NIU and DeKalb. Well, that's not central to anything. I mean, that's not going to help. And so there are things in that way that I guess if I was commissioner for a day, it would be we need to figure out why our attendance is down, and to way to make that make that experience special again, to make those tournaments high marquee value type situations. And if that means that 3 and 4A basketballs in Chicago, again, they have to bid. But I would be pushing for that, because obviously 80% of the 3 and 4A schools in the state are going to be north of Springfield. But at the same point, when you look at 1 and 2A, especially in some other areas, I just think that you have some great facilities across the state, and I understand travel, and I understand that, but at the same point, I think that it would be incumbent to use some of these great facilities across the state, and I think that you could have some greater interest in, when you look at some of the state championships that are outdoor sports where weather's a factor. Going to DeKalb in November is not a very smart choice in my mind. That just seems to be a silly thing. And when you're sitting in with stadiums to the south that have the potential to not be as bad weather-wise, then I think that you need to evaluate that. And the other thing is that when we get into the postseason stuff, again, I understand having put together enough brackets before that that's not easy. But I think that we need to go back to, especially in basketball, the sectional complexes with the seeding. And when you look at, the classic example was in baseball this year, Hamilton County ends up going, I believe it was to Greenville for a sectional when Harrisburg was hosting a sectional, and then they sent Nashville to Harrisburg when obviously that would have been a lot closer to go to Greenville. And so, it's just the little things that I think that I would want to clean up.
One of the things I mentioned last week, especially you mentioned football being in DeKalb, because they quote-unquote wanted state centrally located state events. My idea for golf would be, since golf is played, from the spring on, you see kids everywhere. Golf in Bloomington in October doesn't work. I mean, 9 out of 10 times you're not going to get great weather. Move the golf calendar up and have it start like the first week of August, maybe the end of July, and have your state tournament in September. Because if in September the weather is usually still pretty good all around the state, you could rotate it from south to north to middle part and get a lot more golf courses involved instead of playing in Bloomington in October when the weather's bad. That would be one of my recommendations.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I think that, and again, I know there are other considerations other than just the golf course or the weather. But, those have to be major considerations. And, I don't care if it's, when it is, you could have a perfectly good day somewhere and you go to Bloomington and it's going to be cold and windy.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's the way it seems. And so, those are the kind of things that, you get into the habit of, well, we've never done that. We've never had golf, here, or we've never done, that's where you've got to take a look at and see, moving forward, what's the best answer, not necessarily what we have or haven't done in the past.
One of the best answers we got to move on to, of course, is August coming around the corner. That means high school football. One of the things I think that you guys do well, one of the many things, is Sports Extra on Friday night with all the highlights, all the coverage. From the outside looking in, looks very easy, goes very smoothly, everything's there. Describe a night of Sports Extra starting from kickoffs to racing back to Carterville to editing to actually the on-air product that we see.
Well, I mean, what you're seeing there is the fact that you are seeing the end results of what we classify as a huge fire drill. And, the radio TV business or the news business is kind of funny. Is you can sit around and, you may come in the early afternoon and not much is going on, but, then when it's go time, I mean, it is go time. And that's what, especially Friday nights, is like, because, we have a situation where, obviously 7 o'clock starts, not much is going on. I mean, we may have Caleb or Kelly somewhere doing a live preview somewhere, but for the most part, the afternoon's quiet, and then it's, the biggest part there is trying to, when we go through and come up with the schedule, and we have to find those places where we can, maybe get 2 games with one guy. When we have only a certain amount of cameras and a certain amount of vehicles, we're trying to get as many games as possible. And so, if Harrisburg and El Dorado are both at home, that's an easy put down on our calendar. If Cesar and Christopher are both home, that's an easy put down for us. And so we go through and we organize all that ahead of time. So on that night, our shooters come in, and if they do that, we don't ever do more than 2 games, because I just don't feel like with football that you do the highlights justice, and that's where I feel like that one of our strengths is that, we're not just showing you, 2 or 3 yard runs and maybe a tackle and then saying, oh, and so wins 44-28. And, and I think that part of that is that we have a pretty good idea when we plan stuff out. And we're only getting 2 games per person, so you have an opportunity to stay a little longer and get some better highlights. And when we have the bigger or the marquee games, then we're not doubling those up because we want to get quality highlights. And so when we're out there, we have an idea of travel time and okay, this person is new, this person's experienced. How fast can they edit? Okay, you need to be back in the building by 9:30. Or if it's Craig Schode who's been doing it for 2 years for us, then it's a guy that we can trust walk in the door at 5 or 10 and be able to bang those highlights out and be good to go on air at 10:20. Or maybe it's a situation where we send somebody to a faraway game and they're they edit it and send it back via the internet, and so there's a lot of things that are in fact in play there. But yeah, from about 9:30 to 10:20, I mean it is full on just buzzing with activity. People coming in, editing, jotting down shot sheets for us, and then when the light goes on at 10:20 or 10:25, whenever we hit, that's the ultimate go time there, and that's where all the fruits of the labor are reaped, and then after that, the sports extra's over, and you kind of get a second to breathe, and now we got to put it all on the internet, so we have to do all of our web stories. So our night's not complete when the lights go off on the newscast.
Well, we appreciate the work that you do down there and the people that you work with, because every Friday night that's something to look forward to. And we know you're busy on this Saturday morning, but you know how this works. We have one final question, our social media question of the week, and this week's question is, what is your favorite season of the year?
Are we talking sports season or weather season?
We have varied answers. We have people that put in sports seasons. We have people that have answered with the 4 seasons of the year. Either one is fine, or if you come up with something else, that's good too.
Well, I think I would go with the fall, just because you've got the baseball season wrapping up. You've got football starting up. You got basketball just around the corner. And that's kind of you get into, especially in this area, you get into some gorgeous times with the outside, the way the trees and everything turn around here. I mean, I have 2 favorite work days of the year, and that's the first Saturday of the high school football playoffs, and the second one is regional final Friday in basketball and in the small schools. But that first Saturday of high school football, when you're on a drive and just a gorgeous day and getting ready to see a playoff game, that's probably top notch for me.
Top notch for us to have you on the show this morning. Thanks for spending some time with us on this Saturday. Get some rest, get some relaxation in. It'll be all starting here in a few weeks before you know it.
Exactly, my man. You know that it'll be just a hectic time, and we obviously swap a lot of scores, and the group that we have is not like the old days where you could flip on. I sound like an old dude there, but that's okay. But it's not like the old days where you could just turn the radio dial anywhere and pick up games, and that's few and far between. And you and Chris do a great job of covering a lot of ground up there as well. So it's my pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you very much, Mr. Darren Kennard. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you down the road.
Take care, Danny.
Thank you. That's Darren Kennard, the sports director of Channel 3. We'll take a break, come back, and we'll get you wrapped up from the show, get you ready for what's coming up in the next few weeks here on the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
Registration for fall classes at Rindley College is going on now. With more than 100 degree and certificate programs, RLC can put you on the fast track to a new career or to continue your education. More affordable than four-year universities and private schools, you can save thousands of dollars at RLC. Our trained academic counselors will make sure you're on the right path, whether you plan to transfer to a four-year university or head straight into the workforce. Registration by appointment continues through August 1st. Call us at 437-5321 or find us online at rlc.edu. Rindley College, your journey starts here.
Every other incident, it seems as if someone says, "You'll never believe what happened." Hi, this is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers of Mount Vernon and Salem. I assure you, Landers Collision Centers has seen and fixed it all. Whether your toddler got behind the wheel and backed into the trash cans, a kid at school thought it would be funny to take off in your son's truck and sideswipe a brick wall, or even if your ex took a major league whack at your truck windows, we can make it go away, and we certainly won't judge. As a direct repair facility for many insurance companies, we take care of just about everything, even getting you into a temporary vehicle and offering free premium detailing for the life of your vehicle. That's the Landers difference. Top to bottom, big or small, Landers fixes them all. Come see us in Mount Vernon and Salem and ask us about free detailing for the life of your vehicle, or call 1-888-LANDERS. That's 1-888-LANDERS.
Saturday Sports Show here on WMIX. Denny Zawinski with Jeff Crow in studio. Chris Hugo away on assignment. Remind you to go to Facebook.com/WMIX Sports. Give us a like while you're there. You can answer our social media question of the week. What is your favorite season of the year? Also, follow us on Twitter at WMIX Sports. We got some other added things we're going to add here as the football season, high school sports season comes along. But we'll tell you that as well. And again, follow us on Twitter at WMIX Sports, or give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/WMIX Sports. We got to take another break. When we come back, we'll preview what's coming up in the next few weeks here on WMIX Sports Wise, and also this weekend on some of our sister stations as well. You're listening to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
The health of your kidneys has a big impact on your overall health, affecting everything from your blood pressure to your bones. And if you ever have a kidney problem, Dr. Kangura is here to help. Dr. Kangura trained at the Mayo Clinic and specializes in conditions ranging from kidney stones and uncontrolled high blood pressure to chronic kidney disease. Dr. Kangura sees patients at Crossroads Specialty Clinic. For an appointment, call 618-241-9071.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. Now is a great time to move your account to Community First Bank. With our new One Account offering the highest interest rate in the market, free checking, and CD specials delivered by people you know and trust, why would you not bank with the market leader in Jefferson County? We offer 5 locations with 7 ATMs and have been serving the Jefferson County market since 1906. Stop in and see why our bank is the fastest growing bank in Jefferson County. Community First Bank. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC.
Final 2 minutes of the Saturday Sports Show here on WMIX. It's been a very good show. We appreciate Cody Hiller, the new boys coach at Wayne City High School, Carrie Hammond, who's the athletic trainer for Mount Vernon High School, director of the Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois. Also, Wayne Hari, the new athletic director hired at Nashville High School. David Wilhelm from the Belleville News-Democrat. Les Winkler, the sports editor of the Southern Illinois. And Chris Kays, our WMIX sports correspondent, one of them. And Darren Kennard, the sports director at Channel 3. We thank each and every one for joining us this morning. Cubs and Cards this weekend. If you like the Cardinals version, of course, you can listen to the game on 94.1 WMIX. First pitch scheduled today from Wrigley Field at 3:05. If you like the Cubs version, you can listen to our sister station, 98.9 FM, Wish FM as they know it, at 3:05. The game tomorrow is scheduled at 1:20. Mount Vernon Rams football opens up August 29th. You can listen to the game on AM 940 or watch it live at WMIXsports.com pregame at 6:40. We again will be archiving all the games this year as soon as all the teams finish their seasons, and or Mount Vernon as well. Hopefully we don't have to do anything till Thanksgiving weekend, but we will do that, archive the games as soon as all the seasons end so we don't give an advantage or disadvantage to other teams. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at WMIX Sports. You can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/WMIX Sports as well. Over the next few weeks, the Saturday Sports Show will turn into the 2014-15 high school sports season. The next 4 weeks, we'll preview the high school football teams from Southern Illinois and beyond, from the Diamond, the River, and the South 7, as well as Apollo, LIC, Southwestern, and Mississippi Valley, and the Independents as well over the next few weeks. We're going to have a lot of coaches, a lot of media people involved as we get ready for the opening of the high school season. As we go into September, we'll have the other high school sports as well on the show. Thanks to our guests for joining us today here on the Saturday Sports Show, the last weekend of July. Enjoy your summer day. Get out there and enjoy it. For Denny Zerwinski, thanks for listening. NBC News starts now.